it sounds almost like alchemy in the sense that everybody alive today is the inheritor of human history, and human history is full of trauma and tragedy and despotisms of every sort. And you are suggesting, if I hear you right, that we are living in the time when these things will be transformed and healed.
Exactly. And they do have to come to a head. They do have to reach conscious experience, which is part of the chaos that's across our country and across the world right now. And simultaneous to this psychological sort of awakening, although it's very messy at the moment, is the technological leaps where we can be connected. It's part of this evolutionary leap where if any group of people really had true insight, it would spread, it would be catching, because we have satellite hookups, we have the information highway. It's going to make a huge explosion, so that a premonition I had when I was 17 many years ago is if someone tells the truth on television, 200 million people will hear it at the same time. And truth being something that is profound and feeling and giving and good and wholesome and healthy making. And when we learn to encounter and speak and produce that and share that and promote it, we are on our way to becoming our full potential and healing those wounds and assaults from the past that indeed we really do all carry as defenses. And our linear mind is immature. The immature linear mind is needing to be right. It's judgmental. It thinks only in duality. It's responsible for racism, of men and women polarizing against one another, people polarizing against other people in other countries. It's being right or being wrong and nothing in between. No growth, no movement, no give and take, no evolution.
Well, you have a gift for speaking the deeper truths, and if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that to speak the truth and to be right are two very different things.
Very different. Being right is what most of we are culturally trained to do, and which our development is sort of immaturely stuck at a little bit. And it's automatic. We try to be right.
If I'm right, it usually means that you're wrong and that she's to blame.
That's right. And they're bad and you're good. And one of the things I say in workshops, it's much more powerful to be good than to be right. And goodness involves that extra ingredient of wisdom and intuition. Right is the facts. Linearly, you may have the facts, but you can't have all the facts. It's not possible to contain all the facts. So there will always be something missing, and that will distort it and make it inaccurate. But from goodness, from wisdom, from intuition, the intuitive mind, the right brain thinks in pictures and feelings and spatial wholes. And it is the part of our intelligence that is the spiritual mind, or the genius mind. I used to call it all the time in workshops the mind of genius, because it can think thoughts never thought before. It can see things never seen before, because it's the part of our intelligence, when it is mature, that grasps the overview or sees the missing pieces. It's much like that analogy, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, the 1,000 words are the linear mind, all the facts. But a picture tells you more than all the words in the universe can tell you. It tells you about relationship and position and shape and color and form and feeling and emotion and history and many, many things in one glance of a picture. So there's so much in the intuitive mind that we are censoring out and beating down out of fear. And the immature right brain is the mind that believes in demons and goblins and ghosts and is always trying to make a sort of magical reason.
The immature right brain.
Yes.
The part that forms pictures of our fears.
Exactly, and our insights, and our solutions, and our talents, and what's going on. When I first did family counseling, that was the thing. I would be listening to someone talk, and then suddenly I'd start to, with that intent, I'd be open. I wouldn't be trying to figure them out so much, but just really receive them. And then some image would pop in my mind, and it would be very persistent, and I'd say, excuse me, I just keep getting this thought, and I'd say it, and they'd burst into tears. And what the image would have been was some memory that I didn't know about, but that they had that had been suppressed, that was the reason, the source of the trauma for the problems we were discussing. And so I was getting things in this very profound way, very simply, not seemed magical, wasn't. It was just, I was just sitting there loving them, caring, asking what do I need to know, and bingo, something would pop in my mind. Well, that was the first stages, and I had learned many, many, many things more about the intuitive mind. And much of the crisis in our culture is that there is a upsurge of intuitive thinking, but it's all immature. We try to nail it down literally as true. So people have, the intuitive mind thinks in metaphor. It gives you the essential truth inside the metaphor, but an immature linear mind says, oh, is it right or is it wrong? And it's literal. So it tries to turn metaphors into literal truths. And that's why people are channeling, 35,000-year-old men and the ancient Chinese and Chief Running Cloud, and not knowing that this is a part of their own intelligence. They are giving it a form, some form they believe would contain some wisdom, and then they gain access to certain intuitive parts of their mind. But it is still fraught with the same liabilities as all conclusions, that it's their mind and could have some off stuff as well as some really powerful intuitive insights.
Well, when you say that we are in the process of taking an evolutionary leap forward, are you suggesting that this part of our mind is going to be actualized in a more mature way?
Yes, definitely. And more consciously readily available, more integrated. I really believe what the evolutionary leap is, and again, even talking left brain and right brain is something of a metaphor too. It's not exactly literally that, though there are literal components.
But the brain is more complex than just left
there's
and
much,
right.
and obviously we know they cross over anyway, and so on. But the metaphor of the two styles of thinking, which are dominant in each hemisphere that are different, are maturing and learning how to interface. And it's really going to change, I believe, the way men and women relate to one another, the way we relate to babies and children and birth and our physical bodies, being able to use our physical body, which is a large part of our intuition.